Howdy, all you delicious people. I'm here today to review the book of Boba Fett. So, this, of course, is now episode 4. Really, this episode is to both connect a Star Wars comic book, which is a Black Chrysanthemum book, and is to also go and tie in the, of course, Mandalorian show, which, of course, is to tie in the Mandalorian Gunslinger episode, and it is to also tie in when, of course, now Boba Fett is to get his armor, and but we also just kind of have a kind of fun but mostly filler kind of an episode where it seems that we're mostly tying flashbacks into here much more so than current time stuff, and it seems like we're going to slowly but surely really wrap up all those flashbacks and just get into much more current time to wrap up this show, because I'm not quite sure exactly how long this show is going to be for, because heaven forbid I go to IMDb and see how many episodes they're going to be. But anyways, so for this episode, it has this kind of filler feel, but we do still have quite a few references of certain kind of things that are to be almost Easter eggish like, but we really have some things that we, of course, can connect to a prior Star Wars movie, of course, where we are to now go into the episode 2 territory as far as the Clone Wars and stuff like that. Like, we do have a tying from a ship that I guess originally was to be called Slave One, but now is to be called Fire Spray. Weirdly. So, with that said, teeing this up, this of course is to still have Boba Fett in the tank, and so whole flashbacks. So we go on and we have kind of Finnick being found by Boba Fett, and so now we have to go on and showcase how these guys are, because really Fett here is desperately wanting to be a more intimidating presence upon these lands, and is to go on and get vengeance for his raiders, his Tuskens, and then he is to go on and basically become the crime lord, and to basically tell everybody, hey, team up with me, because I'm going to go and take down the Pike Syndicate. Really, in a nutshell, that's really all what kind of goes down, and so that's pretty much the slim pickings of stuff for me to go on and say here. So with that said, we're going to go into spoilers and just go into thorough, more in-depth about that within this episode. So let's go into that double 5 time territory, because it's about that time yet again to go with the spoiler time. Spoiler time, it's about that time again to spoil this episode. So again, in episode 4, we are to open with the of course Bangta tank, where of course Boba Fett is of course doing his healing, his Star Wars healing. Anyways, so we're now in a flashback with, of course, now Boba Fett with this Bangta, and they're going on and making their way, of course, to this hangar where Boba Fett is kind of looking, and he kind of has this scope weapon, and he's looking on at these Niktos and these Gamorreans, and he's looking on and noticing at this hangar that there are far too many guards there, and there's no way he's going to risk taking all these guys down without any of his Fett armor. So we go on here, and we have, of course, Fett and the Bantha kind of getting some meat. And so, of course, Fett ends up tossing this Bantha some meat. So all of a sudden, we have these kind of flares going off in the distance. And so we have kind of Boba Fett who's kind of like, okay, what the heck is this? So Boba Fett goes and investigates and finds Fennec there, and she, of course, is to be near dead here. We go and find out that she had been shot in the gut, and so we go on and have Boba Fett running to this modifier parlor or parlor, where it seems that Boba Fett is to see these Vespa biker gang modded people that are all going and looking on at, of course, Boba carrying in Fennec to this mod parlor. So we go on here and we have this modifier that is going on and telling Fett here that, like, hey man, like, this is appointment only, like, you can't just come in here and just slap a body down on this table. And Boba says, it's like, well, she's near death. Here's a crap ton of, I'm sure, Republican coins. And so the modifier is just like, well, okay, why didn't you say that in the first place? So we all of a sudden notice here that this guy is to have a super battle droid hand, and he is to go and take it off. If you don't know what that means, a super battle droid was, of course, one of the droids that was to, of course, be used in the prequel Star Wars films, like especially around, I think, Episode 2, where you, of course, get those, like, the droids that, like, would go and, like, blast with their arms and kind of have this, like, weird, like, arm kind of thing where they would, like, blast, and they'd have these, like, two barrel things kind of blasting out of their arms. And so we would, of course, have this guy go and take this off. And so he ends up going and replacing it with this kind of weird arm-like thing that is to have all these kind of blades and all these kind of variety of, like, it's a Swiss Army hand, basically, for this guy to go on and modify, of course, Fennec here. So we have this guy who goes on and takes out certain organs of Fennec and replaces them with droid parts. And so after he is to go on and fix Fennec up, we, of course, have Boba who's telling, of course, this guy here, it's like, okay, well, like, sew her up kind of thing. And we, of course, have the modifiers like, hey, man, with those beautiful pieces inside of her, why would you want to do that? And so Boba's like, well, I don't care. Like, so we go on and we have Fennec and Boba who are to be back to this camp. So Fennec wakes up realizing, like, that she basically has a hole in her chest. And so Fennec is asking what had happened, and so Boba goes and explains all of what had happened. So now really just Fennec is to have a life debt for Boba. And so we go on here and we, of course, have uh, Boba who gives Fennec this black melon, I think is what he calls it. The containers, the container looking thing that Boba has been drinking from numerous times over when he is to be with the Tuscans. And I guess that was to be called black melon because they never explained that before. Until now. So we go on here and we have Fennec who is to drink out of this, and we have Boba who's mentioning that at some point she'll start to crave it if she has it far too often. So we go on here and of course have Boba wanting to do certain tasks. But Boba first wants to go off and try to get his old ship called Fire Spray, the same ship that that Boba Fett's father was to go on and drive or go on and have. And so now he wants to try and retrieve it so that way he can go on and use this as his own ship to do with what he pleases. So we go on and we of course have Finnick who goes with Boba to this hangar that has this of course fire spray ship that used to be called Slave One. And so Fennec goes on and is to deploy this probe. And so we go on here and have this probe go through and start making its way through this place, seeing that we have we see like Nyctos and Gamorreans, and we see kind of these eventual like chef droids also, which I'll go into more specifics about what they are and so on and so forth. So we also go on and have this probe go on and spot fire spray, which is to be, of course, Boba's ship. So, and once this droid is done scanning, it goes back to both Boba and Fennec here and gives them the layout of what all this place looks like, how many guards there are, so on and so forth. So, after they are to go on and get the layout of this place that they are to go and want to get the ship at, they go on into this sewer system. And so we have, of course, Fennec who is to cut these bars for them to go into, and it's like, they're probably walking around in crap, basically. So they go into this sewer, and they go and they lift this lid, and so we of course have this one droid called the EV-9D9, and we also have another droid that of course is to be called the COO-2180. Easy to say, right? But really, when you go to the subtitles and you go and listen to this episode in subtitles, they're just called chef droids. Isn't that great? So we go on, and of course we have the EV D9 or D9D. The EV-9D9, good grief. So, that droid, of course, ends up getting killed. And then the COO, other droid, We have Finnick going and chopping off that droid's head as it's kind of gearing up to use its knives as like this spinning device, and like it's gearing up for it defending itself for its head to just get chopped off. So we go on and all of a sudden have a LEP droid going on and trying to like run away from both Boba and Fennec here, and we have it where like Boba is chasing after this thing, and it's just like it's really fun. It looks really cool. I'm kind of wondering if anybody's like, "Oh, I really like the LEP droid." Like, I wonder if there's going to be any merchandising thing that's going to go after that with the LEP droid. So we go on and we have Boba who chases this thing down, grabs this thing by the neck and lifts it up, and so the droid decides to shut its own self off, and so Boba is to like shove this in some kind of like a maybe like a trash bin or something like that, and he ends up going and like making fun of it and just kind of like saying that it was a like hassle of a droid to take down or whatever. So pushing on here, so we go into the hangar and we of course are to have this real just shootout here between Fett, Fennec, and a number of kind of Niktos or Gamorreans that are trying to defend this ship. That, of course, is to be the fire spray that they're trying to get here. So we go on and have at one point where Fett is going for the ship while Fennec is going on and trying to kill a number of these people. At one point, going and blowing up a Gonk droid because I guess that's just to be this walking battery of a droid. So that's going to make a big, massive explosion and kill quite a few people off. So we go on, and of course, we have Fett here who's going and saying that he's having a problem getting the door open. And so we have Fennec who's kind of fighting off a Nikto, and so she's going and telling Fett here, hey, go on and just close the ramp. And so as he does that, she goes on and is to shoot the door perfectly to where it opens up. So for them, of course, to escape. So all right. So we go on here and we have, of course, this Nikto biker gang that, of course, is to be kind of driving or flying away here on these speeder bikes. And so I would have assessed or assumed that this was the Red Key Raiders and that Fett was trying to get some revenge for them going and taking down the Tusken Raiders. But, like, I would assume that this is just some Nikto gang, and Fett just likes to go on and just kill these guys just because he hates them. So we go on here and we have it where both Fennec and Fett are to go on back to the Sarlacc pit because we have Fett who is desperately wanting to figure out where his armor is. And so we have Fett go back to the Sarlacc pit thinking that the armor is still in there somewhere, but it isn't. And so we go on, we have Fett weirdly taking his ship closer and closer and closer inside the Sarlacc pit. And so all of a sudden, like, we're really waiting for something to happen here, something to spring, something to explode, something to, like, happen here. And so all of a sudden, we go on and have this beakhead that is to go on and kind of snap at us, and we're like, whoa. So really, of course, the silly beakhead thing that comes from the Sarlacc pit is really just the one thing that was added CGI wise in the later editions of the, of course, Star Wars movies, where depending on what variation of Star Wars movie that you got, you would get this peak head thing, um, that is to have been added to the Sarlacc pit. And like, okay, that's just that. Like, I don't think anybody like had any high respect for that for that addition, but it's whatever. But I guess they use it well here, and so like I guess we should just be fine with that, of how they just had to force a CGI like thing for us to go like, hey, yeah, that was used in so and so additional edition of whatever. So we have it to where Fennec is going on and kind of telling Fett like, hey, come on, like do something here, like shoot it, do something, and so we have it to where Fett is like trying to blast it, but like nothing is really going on here. So Fennec just decides to just go into business for herself, and is to drop a God, what is it called? A sonic bomb here. And so we go on and have her drop this sonic bomb. The the beakhead goes and eats it and takes it, and so of course, the Sarlacc goes and explodes, and so Fed ends up telling Finnick, that's why I told you never to touch my stuff, never to touch any buttons. So we go on here, and Fett is to go and dive back into the pit and try to see if he can go on and still find this armor, but all he ends up coming out of here is to just have acid all over his clothes, and like it's basically like a stomach acid or something like that. So we go on and we have Fennec who's telling Fett here, it's like, well, be lucky that you had that armor on you because it protected you, of course, from the digestion of that Sarlacc pit. And so it's basically a waste for him to go on and try and further go in there because like it obviously just isn't in there. So we push on, and we are of course to have really just at some point having Fett here wanting to tell Finnick what his future goal is, and when he is to want to like put together a tribe, and that if anything there's going to be like things based off of loyalty, that he will go on and protect a person, and he'll like share like his payment with a number of people. And so Fennec is just kind of interested in that. It seems like she doesn't want to work alone either, even though like she likes to be just a bounty for hire. Like she's like, you know what, there's something about this guy, I don't know. So but she also but Fennec is to also say to Fett here, it's like, well, you know what, like I think those Tuscans had made you soft. And so it's like, whatever, like they made me strong, they made me strong. So so yeah, so with that said, it seems that when Fett and Fennec are kind of going on, and Fennec is asking Fett, like, hey, where are you going next? And Fett is like, well, I still have, like, because he mentioned before that he had some, like, scores to settle, but, like, I think he still has some places to go. And so Fennec is like, well, I'll go with you. So realizing that she's going to be like his partner in crime, so to speak. So we now go on and get Fett finally out of this um, bank to tank, and so now this is back into present time, where he is to already have his of course armor, and that I guess he had gotten from Mandalorian. It's been a while since I've seen Mandalorian, or even remember if I watched every single bit of it. Plus, also, like I'm sure you can tell what was the last things that I saw for Mandalorian based off the Mandalorian playlist. But I know the very last episode of the Mandalorian, of course, of season 2. So we go on here and have Fett kind of getting out of the tank, seemingly fully healed, and he goes on and is to ask Fennec about the mayor domo, and if Fennec has gotten him to squeal yet. And so we of course have Fennec who's saying that the mayor domo is singing like a Yusik or Yusum. I don't know why we have to say that. But anyways, so we go on and we have it to where Fett here is really wanting to hire some muscle. And so Fennec is just like, well, like, why do you need muscle? And they're like, well, like, we gotta have some numbers here. So we go on and have Black Chrysanthemum, who is of course at the Twi'lek bar, or Twi'lek. I don't know how to pronounce that. I still don't. And so we have Black Chrysanthemum, who is all of a sudden going on and looking on at these Trandoshans, and he looks at them with a sign of just, I hate freaking Trandoshans. I just want to murder them all. Because it seems that Black Chrysanthemum and these kind of aliens are to be tied to some Star Wars comic book kind of thing, where supposedly the Trandoshians had gone on to kill a lot of Black Chrysanthemum's people, and so like there's a whole book about that. But we also like have some backstory here where Fwip, Garza Fwip, is to go on and see that Black Chrysanthemum is going on and murdering a lot of these Trandoshans, and so she's trying to get him to stop by going on and like reminding him of like, oh yeah, like I get it, like I get all the times that you had to go and be a gladiator and you had to fight in the arena and you went on and got your kind of your like I would say like his brass knucks kind of thing, and but like they go into much more specifics in this episode. But so we have it to where like Flip here is desperately trying to stop this Wookiee going and killing any more people, and so we instead have Black Chrysanthemum going on and ripping this Trandoshan's arm off. And I'm like, oh my god, like, didn't they go on and in some Star Wars, like, mention that Wookiees are known for, like, ripping guys' arms off, I guess? Um, because I'm sure, like, Han had said that, uh, maybe while they were playing chess, maybe while a Wookiee was, maybe while Chewbacca was playing chess with maybe somebody, maybe Ben for I don't know, I don't remember, but I know it was possibly said somewhere, but I'm not quite sure. So people can tell me exactly because I'm sure there's Star Wars fans out there that absolutely know everything verbatim. So all right, so we go on here and we have Black Chrysanthemum who starts to walk out of this bar, and so Boba is just so happen to be there, and it's like, well, hey, like you tried to just like not have all these characters get killed. So Fett goes out and is talking to the Wookiee and is like, hey man, like, do you need a job? Like, need some coin? Like, so it seems like the Wookiee or Black Chrysanthemum is like, like what you got? Like, what do you got for me? So immediately we have Black Chrysanthemum that's like, yeah, he's gonna be working for the freaking, he's gonna be working for Fett. So we go on and we end up getting Fett, who gets all of the guys who paid him tribute before. The Aqualish, the Clantunians, or the Clatunians, and the Trandoshians, gets them all together and is to the guy who, all the people that basically just gave him like tributes before, having them come in here and having a dinner together. And so we go on here, and of course we have Fett, who is telling all three of these kind of tributers what his next plan is, that they should all be working together, and so on and so forth. And so we kind of have it to where the guys are going like, well, what's to stop us from just going on and trying to kill you and just kind of taking over this place? And so we really just find out that these guys are to, of course, be like eating right above a Rancor pit, to where we go on and see that this Rancor, I guess, is starting to get hungry, and so Fett kind of drops a little thing of food for this Rancor to eat. So we go on and we have Fett who's like, because I plan ahead. Because I freaking realize that you guys aren't going to possibly be right on to my side, so you, because I'm going to go and drop you guys in this Rancor pit. How about that? How about that? So we go on here, and we still don't have Fett, who is going on and riding a Rancor yet, but maybe that'll happen sometime soon. So after this whole meeting together, we have it, of course, where Fennec is asking Fett, it's like, well, do you really think that they'll work with you? And Fett's just like, I don't know, but we just need muscle. We still need to hire some more people. So we're going to see how that plays out. Because Fennec is thinking, it's like, well, there can be quite some possibilities for us to get some more muscle, so to speak. So maybe this might tie in the Mandalorian, it seems, or maybe this might tie in any other kind of unique characters from the Star Wars world. I'd like for them to really heavily experiment and so forth. Like, yeah, they do have that Vespa biker gang, but like, I don't know. I kind of want them to like really get unique with who they pick. Like, I don't want it to just be some simple like approach of what they're going to hire and who they're going to get and whatever. And it would be kind of interesting if they really get some characters that were immediately going to be like, oh my god, they got this character, oh my god, whoa! And freaking people will just lose it. But there's still so many possibilities that they can kind of pluck from. And it doesn't exactly have to be a past bounty hunter. But it'll be interesting to see who they get in the future. So, speaking of get, I think I'm going to get my way out of here. hopefully I covered everything in this episode. There's a lot of stuff to just always talk about in a Star Wars episode. Uh, but yeah, so with that said, like I think that's all that I want to say about this episode. It seems that all the guys were willing to kind of put up their cups and say that they are to be into working with Boba Fett. So we'll see if that actually goes the way it should. So with that said, I think I'm going to get the heck out of here. Uh, to go on and have and hopefully see at some point Boba Fett going after the Pike Syndicate to possibly go after the narcotic spice. And we'll see how that all plays out. Because I guess Boba Fett in episode 2 had gone on and taken that spice, and he had gone on and hallucinated. And I guess that was his kind of his weird trip that he was to go on and have from that spice. So, with that said, we have uh, at one point we have Finnick going in again, talking about this place being like the Dune lands or whatever, the Dune Sea or whichever. And I was like, man, like they're really going out of the way to just kind of like connect Dune to this thing. Like I've never seen like Star Wars going on and referencing Dune so often. And so that's really interesting. Like I don't know if Dune is to be any kind of connection with Disney or whatever. Um Not quite sure. Like we must just have just guys who are just really just fans of Dune who just want to keep on referencing this. So we'll see how that all plays out. So with that said, I think I'm gonna get the heck out of here. Bye, everybody. Bye, everybody. Hopefully, I technically like I covered the gist of this episode. Like this one doesn't have like filled the brim of Easter eggs like all the other ones do, so it's kind of a relief to not have to spend so much time having to research and go through and have to like I gotta make sure that I say all this. I gotta make sure that I talk about this droid. I gotta make sure that I talk about this species or whoever the heck these guys are. Who are these people? I don't know who these people are. Oh no, I have to figure out who they all are. Oh, that's great. When there's not enough research on an episode that just came out today. If I waited a week after, if I waited like a couple of days, like I'm sure like a billion different things would all have like, oh yeah, this is so and so character, and this is his whole entire history from XYZ thing of whatever. But like it's too soon right now. So with that said, I'm going to too soon my way out here. Bye, everybody. Bye, everybody.